allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so with that, we bring the meeting into compliance. Is that true?
To order. Order. Yeah.
To order. Any, who's doing the update on, is that where we're
Master Plan
starting?
Committee update.
Yep. Yeah, I just gave you new information this evening. The RFP for the master plan consultant has been issued. We already got 3 inquiries today for copies of the RFP, and the schedule is on the second page for that.
When did it, we only put it out a couple of days ago, right?
Just went out yesterday, yeah.
We
Yesterday
got
at
3
4.
back?
Yeah.
Can we earmark the dates that the first ones came in? A, B, and C, and 1, 2, 3 is the dates that they come in. Will they be registered as such?
Jen keeps track of who the requests come from and who she sends them out to.
Okay. But as far as who's first, who was second coming back? We want to see, because these guys ain't got nothing to do if they're sitting there waiting for their emails.
Were they really ambitious?
When they arrive here,
I was having fun. Jeez, it's getting hard to have fun anymore.
Come on, you have any fun every day.
All right. Yeah.
so that's the
That's the
latest
update.
news on that.
Okay, so
Check.
we're good with that?
Yep.
Anybody have any issues with the minutes of the last meeting?
No problem.
We
We can make a
got 2
motion.
sets of minutes, one from the August 20th and one from September 24th.
Anybody on either or?
Okay.
Mark?
No, I'm good.
Neither?
Approve both.
I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So be it. How are you? Next, mail.
Actually, the 2017 budget.
Skip that? Dang.
You do need glasses.
The new information I gave you today, so on the right-hand side there, second. The budget forms for fiscal year 2017, we're starting the planning for that already. The request to town meeting is going to be for 2% for all staff plus the step raise. And mission budget is what I'm looking for your input on. They're asking for 2 budget scenarios, one level staffed and one a mission budget. Mission budget that I'd like to throw out in front of you is to ask for a department clerk, 10 hours a week, and that's reflected on the sheets there. So the first sheet is the numbers, and then the sheets that follow are
Will this
just the-
department clerk be shared with anybody other than you?
I would recommend that it help cover some of the other departments that we're all together. That would clear me from having to help cover
Well-
the other departments.
All right, you've got a few hats going yourself now with both with the other thing, the
Master plan.
master plan, this, and what else do you cover? Should we be putting that on our budget, though? What shouldn't it?
It's all a town, so I don't think it really matters where it goes. We're
Well-
not officially a unified department, but we all work together. So anyway, I'm throwing it out there for discussion, and would like some feedback before I turn the budget in end of the month. So if you have any comments, just let me know, and
All right.
we'll move from there.
Richie, you were at, going over the 2000 budget, 17 budget.
Yes.
If you're up to speed, take over, otherwise I'll continue on the fashion to get it over with. PDQ.
Continue, Pete.
Oh, boy. All right, so we're now at mail, is that correct? We just done a direction on the midget budget
Well,
request?
she was looking for feedback on this. If we
Well,
have any,
we just looked at it.
you and
Well, if
All right.
you have anything now, Happy to hear it.
I thought someone was going to send it along. Anybody got any discussions now?
Marion, how much of an increase is this over last year?
2%.
For,
The budget for our planning?
those numbers are in the rest of the description there.
Okay,
So I
okay.
should be able to pull those out for you. I brought mine. I did bring mine. So on the first sheet, if you look at the total wages on this goes from 74 to 79. That's a 2% increase plus a step. And then,
2% plus a step?
yes. And under, because that, by law, that's
Yeah.
town meeting vote. And then level staffing and to the mission budget, the mission budget would be adding the 10 hours of a department clerk.
Sure.
$20,000?
No.
No, 'cause
69 to 89, my math is, level staffing says
Yeah.
69, and
Okay.
FIS right there is 89. I added once, and I thought 69 to 89 is 20.
Yeah, I've got some problems with that spreadsheet then,
Okay.
because we add the transfer in from the master plan.
Yeah. That'd be 9,
So then- Oh, I see what I did. I didn't add in from the master plan down there.
79. Okay, I
You're
think,
right, I
Yeah.
have some problems with the
I think the
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet looks good, though. It's great. This is the first,
That one correction should be.
Yeah.
yeah, this is,
Yep, I'll check the formula.
this is a new format, Marion, isn't it? This type of spreadsheet?
No,
Did we use this in the past?
yeah. I know, I'm sorry, this is the form that Bonnie uses all the time. I'm not sure that I've shared this format with you or not.
Oh, okay.
All right, so before we
Sounds
vote
great.
on any of that, anybody have any questions? We'll vote on it later,
Yeah, we'll
or
move on
Alright.
correction.
have the numbers correct?
Yeah, have it corrected.
Right, actually, you don't meet again before I have to get this to, into accounting. So just let me know what you'd like to see.
I could,
Well, next time I'd like to have more than 14 days to the break periods that we could
well,
actually
if you
vote
need,
for it.
if you need this for, before we
just-
meet again, I could make a motion, but we approve it
Approve it.
with those amendments that you'll make.
Absolutely.
What is the final number as far as the amendments are concerned? 10,000 less is what we're talking?
Well,
It
it's,
might be.
we're presuming the town meeting votes the 2%.
Yeah.
The step is, according to the employee bylaw, looking for 40 hours a week, 35 hours a week out of appropriations, 5 hours a week out of master plan funds, plus an additional 10 hours a week of a department clerk, come in at a grade level 4. I'm guessing a step 3, but that's just a guess. And that rate would be as shown, and that's about, over on the right, that's $9,600 a year.
Yeah, so it's really 89 there. If you look at that second column in from the right, you start at the 69, add 9 for your step.
Yeah,
Brings
so
you to
that would-
79, add the other 96 for the department clerk, that brings you to 89.
Right, so
Yeah,
So the top
It's
number
just
should
a-
be down at the bottom number,
Right.
more or less,
Yeah.
right?
and,
right, and then on the expenses, just requesting level funded.
yeah.
So 89 plus or minus and level funding.
I'd make the motion to approve it as amended, and you'll check the math over with Bonnie.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll second that.
We have a second? Any discussion?
Excuse me, did I hand over the chairmanship to you?
Oh, that's right. No, you didn't. Sorry about that.
You will wait your turn? Give me
Yes.
the beater, too.
Okay, pass the chairmanship here.
Yeah, let's go. We were
When
going-
we're down, starting ready, we will. We'll
Reader's
move on.
Digest version, yeah.
Oh, yeah, really? Come here. I'm all set. I'm passing it on to you. Make the motions.
Okay. Motion
Yeah.
made and seconded.
You gotta have
all-
some fun here. Come on, all right?
All in favor, well, Peter doesn't get a chance to.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
All of a sudden, 5 new faces in the crowd, and we got Peter's doing his stand-up routine.
He's doing very well. All
Careful.
right, where are we now on the agenda?
Mail, D.
Christ, I've been trying to get the mail for 3 times now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't think there was anything of interest that was outside of the projects that you have going.
Do you want to jump into the regular meeting since we're running late?
Yeah. We can come back to this. All right.
I was on time.
We have, it's 7:40. We have a 7:35 point. We'll postpone the mail bills in Macintosh Lane till after. The point, we have a update.
Site plan modification.
No.
Second.
Okay.
All right, for the public, can we identify ourselves?
Sure. Timothy Power with Land Strategies, representing Littleton Commercial Investments in the Point. Also with me is
David Baum from Strader and Holt Architects,
Oh, great.
the architect for the theater.
Oh, very good, yeah.
So in the spirit of having a little bit of fun, I'm not sure how long everyone has lived in Littleton, but does this look good to everyone for a new cinema?
Oh, you know where that picture was taken.
The audience,
Who copied
the
our
old,
design? Somebody copied our design.
the old Littleton cinema.
Somebody, if you recognize that, you're dated.
Yeah, right. I grew up in Concord, so I've been
Here, take this out for a second.
You have the pool still in the picture? Pool? There's a pool in front of it.
There was a pond in front of that, yeah. Pool.
Pool, Herpes Pool,
Yeah,
So, the good
till a
news
kid
is...
drowned.
that was
I
great.
can get your-
Yeah, the Quinn kid, right?
Okay.
I don't remember his
Go to
name.
your.
Well, you know what, you're right. I
Flashing
think it was one of the Quins.
That's great.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll see.
I think I only slept
You keep
swimming
that one
with
around,
twice.
that'd be
It's like bath water.
too, but
Too many people.
in the meantime, I'll pass this.
Too many people.
While they're trying to get some renderings up on the board, I'll pass over just the basic site plan to point to.
Okay. O'Neill Cinema.
Lauren can put it up on the screen for us as well.
Thank you. Will we be seeing what's his name?
Just double click on it.
Huh?
Now you just hit open.
I knew when you said that.
There we go.
So the reason we're here is for the talk about the cinema up on the screen. O'Neill Cinemas. We have a deal with O'Neill Cinemas to put a cinema at the Point. The last time we talked about Phase 2, the Phase 2 area, which was above Building C on the site plan, was probably during the original approvals. So the plan you have before you, Lauren, if you had that PDF, you could jump so the rest of the screen can see. Thank you for that. Is the current layout we're working with. The cinema is the larger building at the bottom of the page. It does have a label, Building L Cinema, on it.
Nice,
It's
yeah.
actually this one on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top of the page here.
Lauren will
Okay.
rotate that so it'll be back at the bottom.
Yeah, sure I will.
Hmm.
So over time, just to accommodate the cinema, we've sort of pulled some things here as we were marketing to the cinemas. We felt the parking directly in front of the cinema building was a little lower than the cinema users wanted, so
Is that the sheet you want, or?
that's the sheet I wanted. Yep, that's exactly what everyone is looking at here to the handout I gave you. So some of the things have shifted around. The far end of Building K is a little bit reduced in size versus the original layout. The other, I guess, change we have made from the original is post the special permit approvals, we were able to talk to Mass Highway about bringing down a berm from the property line. I'm going to get up and point. From the property line here, next to the highway, the land came up rather high, and so it became a hill from way down low, coming up and then back down to our site.
Yeah.
Which really impacted what we could do up here. So we talked to Mass Highway and they said, yeah, we'll allow you to get over here, bring the grade down, and then put the fence back up. Obviously can't build over the property line, but allowed us to squeeze in a little more parking and attracts better cinema users like O'Neill Cinemas. So
And you have the permits through the state for that?
yes, we do. Yes, it's with our Mass Highway access permit for the site. We have one for the site, and there was a different one with the town for the roadway improvements.
Is them the hotel?
M is not a hotel. The hotel is off this sheet down in front.
Yeah.
This is a partial view. This is just the top of the site.
All right, I knew that.
Tim, in terms of walkability and access and green, I don't see that up here.
Well, let me describe it a little bit better, what we're trying to do. This building here, Building C, is where Tavern Square is being housed. You can see a lot of the detail here we've already worked out in plaza space.
Yeah.
We're trying to build that connectivity to here with sort of also landing, and then these green longer islands, we may try to make wider sidewalks, and again, to get across here. So really that your path from our major restaurant to your cinema is sort of a long event.
Yeah, we need to see better access and greener, more green space coming through there.
Coming through here.
Yes.
So these are fairly, this is 20-foot islands on both sides of here, 20-foot wide grass.
No, you
island.
don't have the planting scheme on this, but
No, we
that's-
certainly can provide that.
yeah, that's what we want to, I know, I personally would like to see more, walkability friendly,
Sure,
pedestrian friendly is what I'm looking for.
sure, absolutely. So this was we were trying to make, this is an important connection because it gets
Yeah.
you across Constitution Ave and then up. So this whole sort of stretch will be the connection, and then as you get up to here, this becomes a little more plaza space and connection up to the cinema itself.
Now, is
The other shots.
that loop that's below that plaza, is that loop a retention area? This loop, yeah,
This one?
yes.
No, this is actually protected wetland area. So this is all green, it's not retention.
Okay,
This is our last surface basin on the project, and
Yeah.
then under here, same as the original design, under this parking lot, they're underground retention.
and so that's actually a green space then?
Yes, there's some trees still remaining here,
Okay,
and we have we're permitted to impact these wetlands here with conservation,
great.
and we maintain that. But
Anybody, any comments from anybody?
Do you have a, oh, you want
Comments
to keep
from-
going?
well, I was going to say, we obviously could talk, David can talk much more about the cinema, and they did a
All
lot
right,
of work
let's,
trying to bring the scale of this building down to cinema, the large building, just because of the theaters. I mean, I think you did a
Yeah.
good job keeping this facade down at a pedestrian scale.
Can we see the front facade of it?
Absolutely, I guess it's a good segue for David, who can talk about it.
great.
Okay, I've got two views for you. This is the corner, so my back is to the interstate, looking at the front entrance. Got another view coming up that'll be from Constitution Avenue, looking towards the front entrance. Yeah, it'll be on that one. That's the other, okay, those two. So if you go back to the first one. There we go. Okay, main entrance into our lobby. We've got the lobby focused on the interstate side just because of the relationship of the building.
Mhm.
What we recognized in looking at this site is the main view corridor from northbound 495 goes right to that front door. So we wanted to take that and use that as a main sign field to draw attention to ourselves. We wanted to be big, bold, and in everybody's face, basically. So we've oriented that entrance to that view. So that's why it's on the 45-degree angle. This section, all this glass here, is our lobby. So we want a lot of view into there. We've got a secondary entrance into what's called the backstage lounge, a little restaurant area inside the building. We do allow people to bring, we will be serving hamburgers, hot dogs, pizzas, those type of things in that lounge area and allow it to be brought into the auditorium. Okay? So that is then connected to a seating area, into the lounge, down into the corridors of the auditoriums. The big building here, why it's so large, largest screen in the area. 70-foot wide, 38-foot tall super screen. It is the Grand DLX. Full lounge chairs, dining tables at all the lounge chairs, and that seats 298 people. So the requirements of that 70-foot by 38-foot screen give me a 45-foot tall building.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thus, the big mask, we want that front and center, proud, so everybody sees it. Gives us a big wall. That's the downside of it. But we've got an interesting feature. These white lines are light fixtures. Now, we've explored and we've talked to the O'Neill family, and they were excited about this idea. Instead of those just being white lights, we're going to use LED technology so that the lights can scroll different colors. Those lights actually wrap through the glass wall into the lobby. So it brings the experience of outside into or inside outside. So we've got a wonderful experience. You start enjoying the movie as you're coming to the parking lot. We're also exploring another advanced technology. Barco is a theater company that does a pre-show. It takes the lobby and turns it into an extension of the auditorium experience. We've got Jumbotron television monitors inside. If you go to the other view, the second view, you might be able to see one of the screens we have. This wall here and the back wall of the auditorium will be these Jumbotron screens. And this element here can be tied into this as well. It's a pre-show. This system takes control of every electronic device in the lobby and switches it to Star Wars themed. It can play with the lights, it can move the lights around. Your computer monitors, your POS stations, your video screens throughout the building go and do a 3-minute Star Wars themed experience to get you excited about Star Wars. So we can tie these exterior lights into that and have them kind of move subtly with that theming. This board here can either be a stagnant LED screen with just movie names and times, or it can be a video board that is part of that system. So we're still trying to figure out how we go with that. The elements here are your traditional poster cases. They're bus shelters. They're about 4 feet wide, 6 foot tall. Tells you what movies they're showing. The O'Neill logo, the lounge, and the entrance signage is what we're looking for. Need input on that. Building is precast concrete, painted. If you scroll down on this image, go down to there, go to the very bottom. Okay. This is the light scheme. It's on a Nordstrom's building. It gives you a feel for what we can do in the horizontal banding. Currently, we're looking at some off-white colors, some beige. Final colors to be determined based on this lighting scheme, what works with it and what doesn't. If you could go up 2 panels for me, please. Okay, this is a close-up shot of that entrance facility. What is the pedestrian experience? This is what the people will do as they're walking from the stores and shops to the west of us. This is what they're walking down a plaza area. You're going to have a lot of people coming and going at any one time. Landscaping is not a big element for this because it all gets trampled. So with the amount of people that are going to be coming and going, we like a lot of hardscape. So again, concrete, plank, painted building, and glass. So is there anything that I can explain to you more of this building or details that you'd like to know more about?
We're not yet.
Oh, yeah. We get that fun first.
Peter, or Mark, or Ed.
Well, I'd like to go first. The amount of lighting, the size of the sign out front, and the size of the building don't fit Littleton's characteristics at all. To me, it sounds like you're going to put in a giant Christmas tree that's going to change lights all year round. So I'm not a fan of the changing colors of the lights.
Okay.
Not a fan of the horizontal lights at all. I am a fan of the horizontal precast building. I'd like to see the reduction in size,
Reduction in size of,
the building. I know you have a huge screen going in there, but overall, it sounds like a massive undertaking. Bold and in your face is not something Littleton's looking for,
okay?
you know, and not from my opinion, not from my constituents.
Can you go to the...
We were talking about green space. I know you guys are not a fan of it because it's maintenance, but it's something we're looking for. I mean, we're a country town, we're a farm community, you know, so the more green, the better.
Yeah. Mark?
I have a problem with the sign that faces 495 over this way. That is going to be on top of the hill. It's going to be the focal point of the whole point. Everything we've been trying to accomplish on the point. It would in my thinking, the way the point was laid out, if that's going to be up in the back, the sign should be facing as you come up to it. I know you want to capture the free advertising being right next to the highway, but that sign should be, or the impetus of what that building is, should be as you come up to experience everything in the point, as far as I'm concerned. I agree about the lighting and everything else. Littleton's not a flashy lights like Lowell is with the big building that changes called the Wang building or anything else like that. I just think it has to, the point has been designed to have multi-levels of interest. This is the top level, this is the final interest there. Everybody's been looking forward to a movie theater. It just, to me, makes sense that the biggest sign should be there. And I don't have a problem if you want to put a sign on 495, but it should be the wow as the last part of the way the buildings have all been leading you up to the back. That's the pièce de résistance.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. That's my limited design criteria.
So I understand those two comments. The white lighting, if that just stayed as white and stagnant, that would be preferable. Okay.
Let's hear from
Well,
Peter.
you have there's a song I used to hear, is cement and steel and flashing lights is all that I could see. It may be good for New York State, but it's no damn good for me. So, I didn't like when your first statement, big and boisterous, and we're gonna, wow you. I don't want to be wowed. I want to go inside and get wowed.
Okay.
I don't like the same, the same opinions that I share their opinions with. I know you're looking for free advertising on 495, but you do a good job. People are going to know you're here, and they're going to come regardless of seeing that. They're not going to change their mind coming up 495. Okay, let's go see a movie. Yeah, well, we got to be in Maine in 15 minutes. No. So, I think I'd like to see, do you have a building like this already made that's in real life as opposed to an artist rendition?
No,
'Cause
no, this is a unique building for O'Neill's.
is there something that you could do a little better job on the artist rendition as opposed to that?
Sure, we can get to photorealistic.
That would be,
When we understand what you will accept and where we need to go, we can do photorealistic.
yeah, I'd rather not see it look like a Christmas tree at different times of the year, and
Okay.
we don't have a bylaw on our signs just as quite of yet. Like, it's been in the work for 10 or 15 years, I don't know. So, I think that's a little big facing also.
My
What?
turn. My turn. I think there's nothing insurmountable here. I think the theater, movie theater, absolutely needed. Is there is the new jumbo TV screen? Is that a new concept in movie theater?
The large screen format.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
The large screen, the Grand DLX Auditorium, the big one there, that is where people are going. That is your premier presentation house. When Star Wars comes out, when Star Trek comes out, when that big movie comes out, it goes in that auditorium for 3 to 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then once the crowds die down, it goes to the smaller screens. So that is your premier house.
Is it possible to put that at the back end of the building, so to cut down on the massing on the front end of the building?
The preference is to have it out front and center so that people see.
you want the-
Otherwise, it's buried in there and people don't know that we have this grand auditorium.
Is there a way of cutting down on see, it's the massing, I think, that's captures me. And is there a way of cutting down on the massing by adding maybe awnings to the front to?
That was the intent of adding that center element there, the signage piece here. This element to try
Yeah.
and bring down the scale over there.
But it really doesn't. It just it's
That's-
lost in the size of that wall.
That runs up into the wall that runs up to
Yeah.
Westford, correct?
Um,
There's a way to,
You mean
Bury
the wall
the-
that runs up.
behind that is a very steep dirt wall that goes up to
Oh, yeah,
Westford.
behind this building, yes.
yeah.
See, that's why
Can't you bury the back end of it? I mean, when you walk can you make it, instead of climbing up the stairs or sit in the stands, you actually walk in and go down into it? The building gets buried into the wall?
No.
no, they can't go that far, but
Huh?
I don't think they can go that far back into that hill anymore. The hill's.
No, they
that's-
need,
No,
they
they
need
use-
the access. I think what Pete is talking about is, can you recess the front level?
The back end of it, so
keep-
you walk in and it goes down from
To
behind.
keep the
it. Instead
massing
of-
down. Peter, are you
instead of-
talking about the front end of
No,
the
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 wall?
back end, where I'm showing where you're going in, but the back side where you're gonna have this
Back of the
jumbotron,
building, the back,
which is back here.
yeah, if you could pull up the site plan so I can point so everybody in the audience can see.
Is this,
The back of this building,
okay.
this is 10 feet underground already.
Oh, all right, well, that's what I was thinking.
So we buried that part in the ground.
Okay.
And now the front, all this has to be at one level for code reasons.
Yeah, access.
Handicap accessibility, I get ups and downs, it's a nightmare with elevators and.
I knew that.
So I think it's the
So
massing
did
and the massive sign in the front. If we can tone that down somehow. And I know architecturally you can do things to lower the appearance of massing.
Yeah, I'd like
Be
to
working
go
that.
back to Mark's comment about.
What about, yeah, bringing the entrance, the whole lobby area to the front of it? That breaks up the massing in the front of it. That way the sign is in the front. Everybody see, as they come up,
You can go back to the first image from me.
it's the pinnacle of the back of the whole property. That's,
If you put that on the other corner,
it put it in the
If I
middle.
take this and put it over there,
Well, no, more towards the middle. If you put the whole lobby in, right there, right where your hand was, into the middle of the.
Turn it.
That's about straight up as you come up the hill, right? Isn't that the middle?
no, if you look at the drawing, though, if you move it
way
to the
off
left.
beat, yeah. You can go back to the site plan for me.
It's even further over to the
It's
Constitution Drive?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost.
Constitution is coming up 3 buildings over.
Right.
We're way over here. Even the
So now
center of
you-
our building
You
is
would
way
you'd
off
lose
the
it,
Constitution.
yeah. But if you put it to the left
Where's
side.
Market
Yeah, maybe
Basket
you're right,
on
put it
that?
more
right?
to the
Market
left.
basket is this
That's over
building here.
Yeah.
All right.
More to the left, so it's in the middle of that big mass that's gonna be up in the back up there.
Maybe if you flipped it, then you have a straight wall along 495 that potentially you could put a subdued sign
You could still
on.
put the smaller sign there, but I think the emphasis of
Well,
the whole,
right.
as you pull it in, you're gonna see that up in the back. I think that's what I
The-
think you really wanna see.
The berm will hide from the,
Well, they're
hide
gonna- they're-
most of the side of that,
Yes,
But
yeah.
you guys are lowering.
because you're only lowering the berm to the very front corner of the building.
yeah, you're southbound, you're never gonna see this
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So, and then we, if you go back to my first image. Front, yeah, that one there.
Yeah.
We've left nothing on this side of the building, no signage, it's not visible.
And he's got, you've got ins and outs, which helps break up the massing there.
Yes. Mhm.
If you were to carry the glass front further across that large wall, maybe, just, that
What-
would,
What we've done here is we've gone to the limits of the functional space with the glass area.
right.
Once I get beyond that glass, I'm inside an auditorium, and auditoriums can't have windows.
No, and my suggestion would be to just carry it as a fake front further across to help, help, a third of the way or so across that front. It wouldn't just be it would carry the element of the glass across, even though behind the glass there'd be auditorium wall. You could use that glass for, just as you have it there, you've got some signage behind the glass.
Okay.
That,
Is that going to work for everybody? If I were to extend this down farther to about the poster cases,
Mhm.
is that,
to me, that seems to help break up the massing of that large wall. I understand the concept of the theater, and I think that's perfect for me. And what takes place inside is absolutely fine. I mean, I'm not going to, that's part of the movie experience that
Yeah.
you have to build to movie theaters today, too.
Yeah. and we can, the flashing lights was a new concept we talked about today.
Yeah.
So
It's,
if white and stagnant works for everybody, and subdued,
well,
then we can
yeah,
just have them nice and glowing.
the actual, what you have on the outside, the logo, the sign, I think in color is a good thing.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about changing the color of the horizontal lights.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think if somehow we gotta move, I like the planters. The planters are a good element of green. People aren't gonna walk on them, but they're gonna be, you're gonna have that
They
green
got benches
element.
incorporated into them,
Yeah.
so people can sit.
The underseat lighting is nice. Is
Yeah.
it possible just to see the two front and, the right and left corners flipped? To see what it would look like?
We went there first,
Yeah,
and our advisor, third-party theater advisor on how to operate theaters, wants the lobby on the interstate side.
yeah, and, I think it makes sense. If we can somehow tone the structure down, maybe
But
lower it a bit.
You're gonna be at the intersection of, 110 and 119, and you're gonna see this.
Yeah.
That's big.
If the colors are right and the height is lower and it's extended in, there's no way you can hide it. It's a building. It's gonna be there.
I know.
Whatever
It's
kind of
nice.
building you
sign.
put there is
It's
gonna
not
be
the
there.
sign.
Building, it's the sign I'm
Yeah.
talking about. That's what I'm saying, if you move the sign over.
Yeah.
I'm not staring at it. I understand, I'm okay with the building being there. It's
So-
the sign sticking out so much.
I think Tim had some more input, and rather than the board
Sure.
trying to design, I think you need to kick it back, give them
Well-
the feedback and kick it back to their architect. with
Yeah.
their recommendation.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Population?
Any input from the audience? Yes. Name first.
Oh, Steve Sussman,
Yes.
Lake Warren Drive. How many screens are there in the building?
Currently, there's 10 to start with, potential for 2 additional.
10?
Yes.
They all fit in the back in that big box, right?
Yeah, that's the,
Second question, does that tower in front where that cinema sign, is that have any other purpose but than to hold up the cinema sign?
it's our main entrance foyer.
No, but that, I think.
Behind it, it's holding up the roof. That element is gonna hold up the lobby roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
But there's
structural.
nothing it's not occupied, but.
No, there's no occupied space in it. The back side of it is one of our video monitors. Inside of it is the space of our foyer, and then structural supports for the roof.
If I could add, do you mind if I add
please,
the
yeah.
answer? Just
Tim.
to, one of the reasons we liked O'Neill's is a lot of the other cinema companies we talked to came in saying it's got to be 16, 18 theater megaplex or forget about it. And O'Neill's was willing to start with 10, they could make it work. They had an option to go to 12, so, and because of the large seats, recliner seats, even the 10 screen is probably more like an 8 attendance-wise for
Ah.
fashion theaters, so even though it seems big and bold in this picture as far as other cinemas out in the world, it's a little bit smaller.
Oh, I like that idea. I think that's great.
Generally, I'm
Personally.
doing 20 screen complexes across the country, and with
Oh, I know.
traditional seating, this would seat 2,400 people. We've downsized it to 1,200 people
Yeah.
with the VIP.
So size-wise, it's a good fit for Littleton, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Size-wise, it's a modest building.
And another
Oh,
resident.
yes.
Hi, yeah, Roseanne Rico Gales. I'm wondering if it's possible to get renderings from the various vantage points, like, for example, the 110.
If you go to the second image, that one, and scroll down to the third page. What we're able to do right now is just take Google Maps and articulate it up with their contours, and this is
Oh.
what you would see. You don't have the tree growth up here because it's all flat on Google, but you can see as you're approaching what you'll roughly see.
And
So-
there aren't any other structures planned to kind of mute the enormity of the building?
I guess I can, because this is standing alone, I'll talk about the rest of the shopping center.
Could we back up to that
Go
one?
back to that 3D. Thanks for driving around. So, probably somewhere here, this is the exit ramp right as you come, and this is actually the perfect spot because on the median, there's some trees here, and the median down here, there's some trees as you get down here, as far as this top image is concerned. So this is almost like the peek-through moment.
That's the bridge.
That's the bridge.
Yeah, looking from
And then
the bridge.
from this point here on the hill, going up, again, there's more vegetation and trees, so it's standing alone on a desert, it looks a little more massive. Our buildings will also extend, we're touching this building, across this side, although I'm not sure you'll see all of it because of vegetation here and whatnot. And then we have another, on the site plan, we looked at Building M, which I think is somewhere in this
There'll be one in
region.
front, yeah.
Correct, so.
Yeah.
But a lot of that there's a lot of vegetation here, vegetation median on the hill. So again, it's sort of a peek through now that the temporary sign we have up on the hill now
Yeah.
is a decent approximation of the view that they'll have.
It'll be patchwork of buildings. There'll be green, there'll be building, there'll be more green space and open space, and then there'll be this building, which will lead into the rest of them. Yeah. And from this view, that tower doesn't appear that massive, although I agree with Peter and Ed that maybe turning it somewhat to the south. And if we could lower the massing of that front face, that would help. Architecturally, any kind of architectural element. I like the idea of the screen on the outside, the LED that you had in the middle and the bottom. I think that fits very well. So maybe consider some concept that includes something like that.
This is definitely our original concept of the shopping center.
Yeah.
The traditional meets tech type of thing.
Yes.
This is probably the pinnacle of the tech side of that, especially being a movie theater.
Yeah.
So, but it's also, like Mark said, it's the end point, so I think it's,
Can you bring back John Wayne movies?
It is, it's the,
We
It's the
have
pinnacle.
had art houses that we have done, so we can see if O'Neill's will run an art weekend.
Ooh, that would be super. That's, might be old-fashioned in that
Moving on.
regard. So it's just, I think it's workable, very workable. Great.
Good feedback, that's what we needed here, and we'll bring back another rendition, modified to meet what I heard tonight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Do you have what you need on site plan?
I guess I do, we talked about the elevations, but I guess the site plan too, I want to know if we're good on the site plan as far as the cinema goes. We're still trying to find the right tenant for M and J, so really just looking for in front of building L. Some applications that are going there.
Great. Do we need a vote on anything tonight?
Maren?
When we did the hotel, we did separate. We did the site plan and then, because there were some questions on the elevation, so. I don't know if the site plan layout piece is okay, we follow up for the building, or,
We can, does anyone have an issue with the site plan that he has, the footprint of the site plan that he has for the movie theater? L and K. Any issues?
No, it looks good. I think
Yeah.
that's fine.
you're still well within your footprints that we've been talking about
Yeah.
all along, right?
yes, and the overall square footages, are still within the,
You're 45 feet tall, though, right?
yes, on that major theater, that big piece, 45 feet.
Yeah.
Is that 45 feet comprised of the entrance that this gentleman said, what's holding it up? And he said it's holding up the roof. Where's your 45 feet
The
maxed?
auditorium.
That is the front building where we're talking about now that part that goes above that, you got the roof line coming into it, and then you go up again, right there? See where the
This
C
part
is?
here is our
No?
highest part. This
That
is
is-
higher than this.
Oh, okay.
I think,
No, if you put enough
It's,
planters out
we
there,
don't
we
have
could always
the-
call that
Well, so we're looking at the map.
real tall ones. Isn't it a measurement from the median or the mode? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I was playing.
From the plantings to the top of the wall, that's top of the
Top
trees to
of
the
the
top of the
trees,
wall.
top of the wall.
Hey, you know,
Find a
it's
couple
all
trees.
connected.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve the final version of the site plan for buildings
As you can say, L.
L and
Really, it's really just
K.
L.
Okay.
So just building L.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second. Did you make a motion? I
I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion to accept it
I
as,
second Peter's motion.
And we have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Any further discussion? So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, that's the site plan. We'll need you to come back again with another rendering.
Okay.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait. '80 King Street, Weber.
Here's the
Very nice, thank you.
2 copies of the A and R.
I'm being Sherry Goldsmith, Lori Bejoin. Sherry just asked me to, it's the A and R that we had at the last meeting, that we finished up with the split footage. So it had been corrected to the 52,990, which is what the square footage was supposed to be.
Do we have 2 of these? You guys want to share them? We'll take a look.
So, and all, there's been no change except for that square footage. So you can show me it's just needing that sign.
According to Sharon.
According to Russell. And stamped it, so it's on here.
Well, if that be the case,
Before you ask us to endorse this, the only thing you should consider is Lot A is not nailed down yet.
We have a purchase, well, that's the next
No,
piece.
no, I don't
of it.
mean purchase and sale. We're dealing with percent impervious and parking and things like that. It might make more sense to get A finished, to make sure we're not gonna change any of the lot lines in parcel B before we A&R before we A&R the whole thing.
What we're doing with regard to Lot A is because things have been delayed and there's going to be no construction with regard to parking or anything, the Webbers have agreed to provide the Strathmeyers with an easement for them to be able to use the existing parking that's already there, because we can't do anything. And so we're doing this as a two-part for you with regard to Lot A with our parking piece of it. We won't be coming back until sometime in June. There is a huge greenhouse that is right here on Lot A that needs to be physically removed, and we've provided the Webbers with a date of sometime in June of 2016 to remove it. So before we can even touch any of the parking issues.
I'm just trying to make sure that you have enough leeway so that if you decide you have to do something, that you don't have to come back and do another A&R. That's all I don't care if we sign it now.
No, with
just-
regard to this A&R, we're comfortable with, because the Strathmeyers here, we're comfortable with the layout with regard to the square footage and all, and then it's just us working between when the greenhouse gets taken down
But
for
won't-
those lot lines and all.
But
And then
won't you-
we intend to come back to you with respect to,
But weren't you over your percent impervious from the original, the Lot A that stood alone?
that's not our issue right now regarding, it may become our issue when they come in front of us to get everything approved. Is that true? But right
Yes.
now, it doesn't, we're not here for that. I don't care whether they may not be able to put in 30 parking lots, they may only be able to put in 20, but that's not our problem.
I'm just trying
Presently.
to tell them that they'd have to redo the A&R if they have to come back again. That's all. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to do the A&R right now until you button down A. That's all I'm asking them, just to be sure they know what they're doing in Lot A before they do an A&R and
Not our
break
job
up
to
A.
at least decide how they want to spend their money.
I'm just making them aware that there's a potential.
Not our job.
just
Most
understand-
developers make sure
Yeah.
they've got the one that's an issue before they do the one that's
Well,
the easy one.
We're not,
The-
that's
the
not our
main-
job.
The main issue here, though, is the fact that this is the parcel B, the subdivision of that is something that is not even in place yet because of the fact that, there is no purchaser, there's no developer, whatever. Sherry was attempting to do that for how it was going to be split. The only piece that we're concerned about is the Lot A, which is that one corner, which we're pretty happy with the square footage and the lot lines, and it's our understanding that those lot lines will not be changing or being revised. Am I speaking?
Okay.
Table the A&R.
We can table that until Carl does his piece of it, if you want to do it that way.
We don't need to.
I'm just trying to tell you that you're asking for waivers and reduced pavement and things in Lot A that you could take care of by making Lot A a little bigger, and you're not doing that. You're gonna just A&R them and then see how the pieces fit afterwards.
Unfortunately.
It's entirely up to you.
No. Unfortunately, I'm not with Sherry's firm. Sherry just asked me to present
It's
the A&R
entirely-
that has been designed, and my concern is my clients who
Right.
are purchasing Lot A, which.
If you
yeah.
have to change B, we can just charge it twice. That's fine. I'm just
Well,
trying
you can
to,
charge Sherry.
I'm just trying to make sure that you're good
Make
with
a motion?
Yeah.
Well, actually, is there any-
They're okay. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are at risk here, Mark.
See, she put me in the fire.
No,
How's it feel?
so we're good. I am. I'll entertain a motion to
I'm there all day.
Does anybody,
approve the,
You wanna ask the public, you know?
yes, is there any comment from the public on this, the subdivision of this lot? Hearing none? I'll entertain a motion to approve the A&R.
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R as established.
Do we have a second?
second?
Any comments? All in favor? Aye. You have your, all nays, any nays? Nope. You have your subdivision.
There you go, get your A&R.
Okay, next. Continued public hearing. King Street Aquifer Resource District Special Permit. Redeveloped 80 King Street site plan review.
Plnbrd, October 15th.
Who's here to present?
Carl Strathmeyer?
Okay.
My name is Carl Stradler. My wife Andrea is here as well. We're owners of this music store that we're trying to relocate. We were here last month, if you remember.
Yep.
Introducing you to our plans for the store. I think Marilyn has probably in your file there included both copies of a conceptual site plan,
Right.
glossy, as well as a copy of the presentation that we'll be going through this evening. I have extra copies here if anybody needs them.
Okay, so how do I show it?
Should just be able to click on the, it's on your screen, how does it go up to that screen?
Well, no, but how did it instead of, look,
Oh, then there's a, you want to do a slideshow up there. Whoops.
That's what we all fucking do here.
Slideshow. From beginning.
I didn't say anything.
All right, so last month we talked about generally our plans and the state of things. Quick update, what we'll be talking about this evening here. Slideshow, yeah, from beginning. So, okay. And next slide is the agenda. So we're going to review and show you the current status of the project. There are some site plan complications that Laurie has just briefly mentioned. That leads us to proposing a two-stage site plan approval process, and we'll talk about what that proposal is. I brought a lot of photos of the existing situation so you can see sort of what it all means, and then discussion and approval, or send us back for more drawings or whatever it is. Okay. Next slide. All right, so the current status, we mentioned last time that
the Board of Appeals has issued us the special permit to actually have the retail, mixed-use retail and residential
Yep.
in the building. The Board of Health has, right before the last meeting, approved a waiver for that septic system to be operated on the smaller lot. Since then, the sellers have provided the A&R plan that you just approved. And finally, a purchase and sale agreement has just been executed this week. So that purchase and sale agreement does include contractual language that does allow us to use the existing parking lot for a while until that existing greenhouse is removed. I'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. So I think one of the bylaw provisions is that we can count a butter's land as part of our approved parking area as long as there's a contractual agreement in place that allows us to do that. So we're paving the way for that.
Good.
Okay, next. This is the site plan, the satellite view with a conceptual site plan overlaid on it that you have in front of you. With respect to your question about are we going down a street that has a dead end at the end and we won't be able to get a reasonable site plan, the seller's civil engineers have produced this conceptual site plan that shows that even if he requires to have 30 parking places, which would be the bylaw number, that those can be created on the lot in question with the appropriate setbacks, blah, blah, blah.
Correct. Yep.
So we are quite confident going forward that if you require us to do even that many parking places, that is physically possible on the site. Okay, we don't think it's practically necessary for the business. At this point, we can show you that. But it is physically possible to do a site plan with that many parking
Great.
places. Okay?
Are you still
Yes.
are you still asking not to pave the parking lots?
We are, at this point, we are asking, yeah, you can go to the next slide. This is the same calculation of parking spaces that we showed you last month.
Yeah.
Okay? As you'll see at the very end of the presentation, we are asking you to give us a target number of actual parking places. Okay? In the 23, 24 kind of a range, which would be our forecast actual usage. Okay? That will give us a target that we can then do the concrete site plan for the final site plan that Laurie talked about. So what the surface of the parking lot is, I've consulted with Maren here, and really, I can't speak to that until we get the greenhouse out of the way, we have an actual final site plan, and the engineers can tell us with drainage and everything else, what are we going to use for the surface of the parking lot. We would prefer, quite honestly, we would prefer to have a permeable surface for as much of that driveway/parking area as we can. Okay?
Yeah.
Park-
But I think
But
we're-
that all depends, that all depends on the actual engineering of the actual site.
This is our subdivision rules and regulations, and I just wanted to read to you parking area design. No parking areas shall be maintained within 10 feet of the street line required. Required parking areas shall be paved and have bumper wheels or guides where needed unless serving a single-family residence. Or in performing the site plan review, the planning board determines that because of seasonal or otherwise limited use, an alternative surface will adequately prevent dust, erosion, water accumulation, or unsightly conditions. So anything over 8 spaces has to be paved. That's the point I was trying to make at last, and that was the point I was trying to make. If you need more land to get your impervious, to keep your impervious down around 24 or 25%, you might need more land to do it because you're going to have to pave the parking lot.
Mark, but that goes on to say that unless the use is not, unless
It's
it's...
seasonal. It doesn't say, it says seasonal. It's a parking lot. Here it is. It's been there for 25 years. It's got to be paved. Over 8 spaces has to be paved.
And actually, he's asking for that discussion to be once he has a detailed site plan,
It
so
says-
you don't have to make any decision on that this
It says
evening.
because of seasonal or otherwise limited use. Now,
It's not seasonal, and it's not
And-
limited by,
it's limited by his...
it's a year-round business, so it's not going to be limited.
But the limited is not defined, so the limited could be that he doesn't have many.
So then give them less
customers.
parking spaces. I'm just saying the parking
Correct.
spaces have to be paved. That's my point, and that's why the percent impervious is critical, and that's why, before you go through all of this, realize up front that worst-case scenario, it has to be a paved parking lot. So that drives your percent impervious, rather than,
As I recall the discussion from the last meeting, We did find a reference to the more than 7 parking places, would be 8 or more. But I believe the reference was not, it must be imperviously paved. I believe the reference was, it needed to go to the planning board for review
But
for the
the
engineer.
subdivision rules and regulations say anything over 8 spaces must be paved, unless it's seasonal, meaning if it's, we waive that for Gary's Farm Stand and places like that,
Yeah, sure.
that are closed and things like that. This is a year-round occupation.
Do we have a definition of paved? I note it doesn't say imperviously paved.
Paved, asphalt bituminous. All the roads in the town of Littleton are paved.
Okay, well, whatever the requirements are, we will have to do the proper engineering and come before you with the final site plan next
But
year.
you're not looking for approval on that tonight?
I'm not looking for an approval on that
I'm
today.
just saying that if you're gonna do all your
It's a-
calculations and everything else, it has to be considered a paved parking lot.
Yeah, okay.
That's, so we were in error last week of giving you the, or last month, of giving you the idea there's an alternative. You either ask for less spaces to get your impervious down, but you have to, I feel you have to pave everything that you're putting in there, but I don't have a problem
Point
with
taken.
spaces.
Moving on.
Okay. So that's just the parking calculation from last time, from last month. Next slide. These complicating factors for the site, okay, and I think Laurie alluded to most of these. The seller has to remove an existing large commercial greenhouse from this site. You can see it on the satellite plan. It straddles the proposed lot line here. And that has to be removed before you can see the probable location of the parking area is immediately adjacent to the greenhouse, and the heavy equipment would tear up a parking lot if I built it. So clearly, there's a first things first, cart before the horse kind of thing going on here. The existing parking area you see in that satellite photograph is going to remain until all that back development happens. And as you can see then, the final parking lot design, engineering, is difficult because, if there's going to be a subdivision road back there, drainage is going to be whatever, and, we're all going to have to engineer it. And then on top of that, snow is about to fly, and, doing any kind of site work in January, February, in New England is impossible. So for that reason, we come before you with a proposal for a 2-stage site plan approval. So, Stage 1, and this is the immediate action, we propose to retain pretty much everything you see on that satellite view, the curb cuts, that circular driveway in front, the driveway to the lower parking lot, and the lower parking lot itself. We will be removing, if you notice here, in front of the building proper, there's a temporary building which the Weber's used as a display greenhouse. We will be demolishing that. That will give us space for another 3 standard parking spaces. What is now their garage, 2-car garage, will be the main entrance to the store. We can put 2 ADA or disability parking spaces in front of that. And there is already space on that circular parking driveway for 2 parking places for the apartment upstairs. We could even make that more official, get it off the circular driveway. And as I pointed out, we do have, through the purchase and sale now signed, we have a written agreement from the sellers allowing us to use that lower parking lot in its entirety until such time as they get that greenhouse off of our land, and that we can build a proper parking lot with a proper site plan.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, so that's the immediate request. I think that gets us, I have a calculation in a moment, I think that gets us about 19 parking places easily, maybe a few more. Then Stage 2, which will be sometime next year, the greenhouse will be decommissioned and demolished, and we'll be able to construct a new proper parking place along the lines of what the conceptual plan is showing. Okay? So the next slide has a calculation of the parking that would be available during both of those stages. During the Stage 1, the immediate, using it as it is, we think we can get about 19 spaces. That, if you look back at the calculation of our need, that takes care of everything except maybe that recital performance area extra load. And we think we can manage our events so that all these parking demands don't add up and cause us to need, 24 spaces when we've only got 19. I think we can manage that. Then in Stage 2, we can certainly get to 23 spaces, which is our request. The conceptual plan from the seller's engineers there shows a total of 30, I believe, which is more asphalt than I think we need, but it shows that it's physically possible to get it onto the site. Okay? Next slide. So for stage one, I did a calculation of the impermeable area of all of this. From the assessor's cards, I measured the house, the buildings. Rough measurement from that conceptual plan. I have the two sections of driveway, the circular driveway up top and the lower square driveway. And then I added some more space for the two additions that I spoke about, the demolition, the 3 spaces in what is now the display greenhouse, and the 2 residence parking spots that we could add off to the side of that circular driveway. That adds up to 12,800 square feet, which is 24% of that 52,990 lot. So we are within the 15 to 30% range that is allowed for a special permit request, and we're making that request to you. All right, photos, I'll just go through this quickly. There's a view of that huge greenhouse out back. There's where the conceptual final parking lot will go. You can see that it goes right up against that greenhouse. Construction of that parking lot would be foolish until the greenhouse were gone. Next photograph. There is the lower parking lot, the driveway up to the top circular driveway. Next photo. There's another view of the lower parking lot. It's quite large. I can easily get 12 spaces, maybe more in there. And again, there's the red rectangle shows where the final parking lot might go. Next slide. There's the display greenhouse, so that will be demolished. Easily 3 spaces there, possibly 4. Yeah, next slide. There's the circular driveway, so we actually do have a lot of the traffic flow that you would even request of us during a final site plan and a re-engineered site plan. Separate entrance and egress and all of that. So finally, last slide, our request to you tonight. First of all, please confirm or give us a different number on the target parking places that we're looking for as we engineer towards a final site plan. Secondly, please approve this rather unusual 2-stage site plan approach. Number 3, please approve our stage 1 site plan, which is essentially using the driveways and parking areas as the Webbers have used for these many years. Tell us if we need more drawings, any open issues, whatever. Fourth, grant us the special permits that we will need for that current site plan, which would be the impermeable space. And last month, there was some question about what leaving land in its natural state meant, and I don't know if I need a permit for that or not. And then finally, we would intend to return to you in 2016, once the greenhouse is gone, and give you a final proper site plan for the reconfigured driveway and parking lot. So,
Great.
So that's our hope for how we can proceed going forward.
All right, so
Can I make a suggestion?
please.
Why don't we just give them a site plan for as it sits right now, let them open up the way it is, they have plenty of parking as it exists, let them do everything they want to do, figure out, by the time they come back, they'll still have better data as to how many parking spaces you really need.
That's true.
Come back in, propose what you want to propose then, but you don't need to do anything before us right now. You can open up tomorrow the way it sits right now. You have plenty of parking.
As long as the existing state of the site meets your approval.
Yeah.
You're
That's-
not doing anything that would alter any difference. There's a business there now. You're doing exactly what you want to do. You can't put your fingers on how many spaces. Come back when you're ready and and the building's down and everything's done. You're not changing anything that needs to be changed right now.
I would entertain that as a motion.
Oh, should we hear from the public before we should have a discussion here. I like Mark's idea as well,
Yeah.
so I don't need to discuss it. Pete?
Audience?
All right, is there any comment from our guests tonight? Hearing
It's
none?
business now. He's
Well,
got
that,
plenty of
yeah, I
space.
mean, it's not any different than
The
what
only
he's
thing I
already
would say
asking.
is that we
He
could
just wants,
limit the time that he
Yeah.
operates with this condition, 12 months. Is it?
He's the one who's going to drive it. He'll decide when he wants to put the parking lot
oh,
back. When
so
they
we want to
decide.
settle everything up within, we can't say, all right, well, in 5 years, come back and let us know how you feel about
when
this.
they take
So-
his parking lot away, he's going to have to do something before they take
It's a-
his parking lot
That's
away.
the trigger. When the sellers terminate this agreement for us using the existing parking lot, we clearly have to find a solution, which means we'll be back before you for a revised site plan.
Give them a year.
16
Yeah,
months?
12 months.
Well,
Well,
what's the
let's
time
go
frame
from
do you
now
think
of
that
another
might
month.
work best for you?
12 months would be acceptable, sure.
Then-
Sure. I like that idea. I go with Mark's
So then
suggestion.
we,
Any-
we give him,
This
Is that
Site
okay?
plan
We can pull
approval on
that?
a temporary site plan. We've
As is.
So you're making that a
This-
motion, Mark?
Yeah, I would
I'll
make that
second it.
motion.
that
Third.
site plan approval as, on this temporary site plan.
Thank you.
for a period of 12 months.
Yeah, for a period of 12 months. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
One point I'd like to make, though, about the permeable paving.
Yes.
Is, Mark is right about paving, shall be paved, but when you go down to the 8 or more cars shall apply, there's six bullets. First is you can't back out on a public way.
Yes.
Second has to do with entrances. Third has to do with abutting residential. Fourth has to do with the access, handicapped. And fifth has to do with catch basins and making sure that you have your oil and grease traps. This will all be in the final. And then the sixth has to do with reducing stormwater discharge, improve attenuation of pollutants. Applicants are required to use stormwater control best management practices and low-impact development techniques in parking lot design, which include interior landscaping, grassy swales, infiltration planters, permeable pavement, rain gardens, etc. So if you choose to use permeable pavement, you can.
Properly engineered, of course.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
See you next year sometime.
Yeah.
It's a give me my book back.
Okay, next on our agenda. Preliminary subdivision, Durkey Farm property.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Oh, Maren, do we have to continue the hearing on this?
Yeah, to a date certain.
Before we move on to the next,
12 months near a take from now, per se, right?
we approved the subdivision. Yeah, we probably should
Approve the site
continue the
plan.
public hearing.
Yeah, I would suggest pick 6 months from now, second Thursday in April?
Okay, and they'll come back to tell us that they want another continuance at that point.
Or maybe they'll have a better idea of their time frame on that.
That's a great idea. Are you guys all set with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Continuing the public hearing for 6 months. All right, I'll entertain
We'll
a,
confirm the date with Mara.
entertain a motion. Do we have a so moved?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. You have it.
Catch me.
Let's see, preliminary subdivision, Durkey Farm, Grimes Lane. Who have we got here tonight?
Hi,
Yes.
I'm Roseanne Nico Bales. I'm here for Sherry.
It's another Sherry.
Another Sherry.
A different Sherry this time.
Sherry. You don't look alike? So I apologize, I really do not know much at all about,
You are definitely stepping into the fire.
I am
Uh-oh.
like just jumping right into the lion's den. So she left these for me last evening, and so you already have.
We have one.
Okay. So basically, my assignment is to make sure that I bring back all of the concerns so that they can be addressed at the next meeting. So I apologize that I can't offer any input on this.
That's what we're here for.
Okay, good.
Let's see. See if we can, do you want to share this one?
Good like that. That's
What is the number today? See what's the number today?
Well, who wants to speak on behalf of this?
I will.
Could we have a,
For the record, Joe Pesnola from Hancock Associates.
great. Thank you, Joe.
I am representing Grimes Road LLC. With us tonight is Mr. Dave Guthrie and Chris Finneral from Grimes Road LLC. Also with me is Brian Gaudreau from Hancock, our project engineer. What we're here for tonight is to discuss something that we've been before you before informally, and we're trying to step lightly into the more formalized process. What we've submitted is a preliminary subdivision for an OSRD, and in support of that, we've submitted a yield plan, and we'd like to continue our discussion, as we did informally, through the preliminary process with the ultimate goal of getting to the submission of a special permit application for the OSRD. When last we met, I think we were pretty much in the ballpark of 36 lots. That's what we have here today in the yield plan, fully compliant with zoning requirements. There was one of the issues prior was 2 points of access and a 750-foot maximum length of a dead end. And there was some questions with the Durkee land and the rights, if any, to connection point to Foster. That's now been resolved. That piece, that connection piece, is now under agreement by the applicant, and we have the 2 points of access. So just to go over generally and kind of start afresh, we are talking about 52 acres, which is the Durkee farm, and then there is the connector piece to Foster and 2 other out parcels that came with that connector piece that were part of the land owned by the land that's owned currently by the Kay family. We have the existing Grimes Lane that runs along parallel to Route 2. So we are talking about a subdivision that would have access in those 2 locations, fully built, full roadway access in those 2 locations. And to, obviously there's sections of Grimes that are narrower, so to support the full subdivision and also address some access issues, some safety issues down by the railroad, our baseline design has the redirecting of Grimes further north outside of the gate area of the railroad, and development of kind of a new right-of-way that comes in and bypasses the farm. And as you'll see from the OSRD, when I get to that, that part of the design is much the same. So we feel we have the yield plan at 36. We are not discussing at this time any density bonus, but as I will go over on the OSRD, we are taking, we do have the potential for 9 A&R lots. So theoretically, we could, we could get into a density bonus, because on our OSRD we're not developing Grimes, we're preserving that. But we're holding at the 36. When we get to the OSRD, again, we have the same configuration or reconfiguration of Grimes, which is a dramatic safety improvement to that intersection, getting the intersection out from inside the gate. And we have the access point on Foster in. And what we're trying to do here is fee lots that range in size from 20 to 26,000 square feet, somewhere in that ballpark, that are suitable to be self-sustaining as far as their own driveways and their own septic systems. We may get into situations where we could have shared systems, but the ultimate goal is for these to be self-sustaining lots. We would like to discuss some waivers from subdivision control that we would advance as we got further and deeper into this. But we would like to discuss with the board the potential to do more of an LID or country road type of drainage system.
Yeah.
And that essentially is going to change the cross-section of the roadways, and it would technically need some waivers from this board to see that, because the way your regulations are set up right now, it's, you know, vertical granite curbing and catch basins and
Right.
all of that. But we can, as we get through, we can discuss that a little bit more. So what we've got for open space here is the kind of island area that's left in between the farmhouse and the barn. We retain the barn with some additional land. The barn and farmhouse, farmhouse itself is in disrepair, so we would envision taking that down and putting something up comparable there, farmhouse style house. But nice larger lot that would remain with that. And the other open space would be a large tract along Route 2 that's 5.5 acres. This is 1 acre. And then would have interdispersed within the project open space areas, trying to get a sense of privacy for each lot kind of backing up to either the peripheral of the overall lot or to the open space. So of the 52 acres, we're talking about 20.6 being put into open space. Just because of the configuration, we don't save a whole lot on roadway lengths when we move from the conventional to the OSRD, but we think we improve the quality of the lots. And again, they're by their proximity to the open space. Obviously, this open space down here could be very, very usable for sports fields or whatever. That's up for further discussion with the board as we proceed. What we're really looking for, kind of at this juncture, is agreement with the yield plan, with basically some input to the OSRD and its configuration, so that, you know, we can kind of work collectively here, cooperatively, before we get into you know, hard design, so that we can kind of pull and push this thing and hopefully meet the desires of the board, of the citizens, the neighbors, while trying to maintain the goal of the developer to build a really high quality, nice product. I entertain any questions the board might have.
Does anyone,
More deeper?
any of the, Peter, Ed, Mark?
I still have a lot of questions from earlier when we saw this informally. The ownership of that parcel, it's of unknown ownership. Nobody's paid taxes on it for 30 years.
Which parcel are you talking
The
about,
the
Mark?
parcel in between here, the little stub that they're claiming for the second means of egress. We left the question unanswered with town council when you came here informally as to who owned the unknown parcel. And for you just to say the K's own it because they own this piece and they own the two houses beside it, that's still not good enough for me to put 36 houses out there.
But we will present from council our legal opinion as to the ownership, whether it's a title search or
We need
what
to-
have you.
I think we need to specifically ask our town to.
No, what I'm suggesting is that we put up our position, which is,
Yeah.
we believe that we've got a solid agreement that looked into title and that K's have ownership and
Yeah.
that the applicant has a valid agreement to purchase, put that to the board, and obviously let
Through-
your council.
Through our council. And that's reasonable.
Yeah.
What's the next question?
We asked, I'm just saying, we asked that to be resolved in March when we were doing all of this informally,
We did.
and it's still not.
But right now, they've got
No,
a
they're coming in
a
definitively,
preliminary.
so we can ask that.
Yeah.
ownership of Grimes Lane. There's still a question who owns it, whether it's owned by the people behind it, whether it's,
It's a private road, isn't it?
We believe it's a public, and we put forth, or Attorney Gold put forth an opinion. Council back in March, your council back in March put forth an opinion. I don't think that in that opinion he resolved the issue of whether it's private or public. So again, I think we need to close that loop and make sure that what it is what it is. Our assertion, and I think it's spoken to in your council's letter, was our approach, is that we're establishing that right-of-way to the degree that it's not. We're widening it to 50 feet where we need it to be widened. We're improving the road with sensitivity to the existing walls, and any pedestrian ways would move over to the other side of the wall so that we're not impacting it. We're not just blowing through, putting pavement, knocking down walls, but we are creating on paper the 50-foot right-of-way that your regulations require, so that at the end of the day, we have, for whatever reason, whatever status currently exists, in the end form, there will be a right-of-way. Through either meeting construction standards or getting waivers from this board, we will have what we need to.
You'll have to satisfy town council's questions. Any question that the town
Concerns.
council has on the issue of the Grimes Lane will have to be resolved.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you'll be back, we'll have to make a decision in 45 days unless you choose to extend. Do you plan to extend?
We want to work cooperatively with the board, so of course would extend to get whatever,
Because
whatever point, to
yeah.
get to whatever point this board is comfortable.
a solution in that regard might take time.
Understand?
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Next question, Mark? Do you have any question on the shape of the subdivision or the quantity or any of
it's the
that?
same as we saw 4 months ago. I still question the density of 36 lots out there. We didn't take into any of the wetlands, like Maren did do that
Yeah.
colored up rendition that put the wetlands on the lots, and judging by those, there were like 9 lots that couldn't be built, but I don't think we're there yet.
Any comments from any of
The upper entrance on Foster Street, isn't that right by the hill where it drops over and down? Is there a site issue up here?
We don't believe there is, but we'll get that information to the board as far as what the site distances need to be and what we have there.
Okay,
There-
traffic
so-
study type of thing?
Yeah.
Very good.
Maren, could we have Green just review this plan during this period to make sure that, in Green's opinion, these 9 lots that Mark has a question on would be viable lots? We'll get an opinion from our own engineer.
When we were informal, we provided some exhibits of house locations and septic locations on those questionable lots.
Yep.
Some of those lots have changed a little bit, so we would be willing to provide that kind of additional data. Obviously, when we're looking at the yield plan,
Yep.
we're not showing houses, but on those questionable lots, we can provide that data.
We'll focus on the questionable. There's no need to focus on the others. And you provide that information to Maren, who can send it off to our own engineer for his opinion.
Happily.
Good. Now, once we pass that hurdle, and assuming these 9 lots are okay, we have, then we're into our open space plan. Does anyone on the board have an issue with the open space plan?
Couple questions, again, with the wetlands, and on top of that, are we looking at any of the wildlife protections that would need to occur on the site? Are we looking at habitat trails, anything like that, as well as the wetland protection?
Any proposed?
Correct.
Not at this time, but open to.
Yeah, that was, you hit one of my finer points. When we see solid build-out like we have here, even though it's a clustered form, I prefer to see, and I've been to Audubon meetings, planning meetings, prefer to see corridors, green corridors through these walls of houses, so that wildlife has a way through without having to go through somebody's backyard.
Okay.
And I think you could
Every
probably...
yard is somebody's backyard.
Well, you don't want your vegetation eaten, do you?
Depends who's doing the eating.
But the naturalists prefer to see a natural corridor for these, for any wildlife that's in there.
Linking the resource areas.
Yeah, yeah. Connecting,
Hunting season's about to start, I'd be more than happy to go out
Connecting
and
the-
study those habitat trails.
connecting the wetland areas and connecting the upland areas. All right? That's the only comment I have about this, is to break it up into,
Obviously, the roads are going to
now,
interrupt that.
you mentioned you wanted to see some relief in terms of granite curbing. What was your proposal in return for that relief? You were talking about countrifying these lanes?
Right, we're looking at, if we were to just do no curbing and roadside swales, just to keep it more of a rural feel.
You need to have at least a sidewalk on one side.
Yes, we will have a side.
And have to be very, very well treed.
Yes.
I think in this area, periodic stone walls would certainly work well, too.
It's funny that they're protecting now as well. There's a lot that they're already protecting
Yeah.
too, so.
But I mean, if they're adding this much roadway to connect the visual and the atmosphere of the area, the stone walls periodically throughout the
Okay.
development.
I mean, as you're saying, as
Yeah.
a mitigation or a trade-off for
For the
that.
granite curbing.
We'll certainly, I'll discuss with our clients those ideas, as well as the street trees and so forth, and
Yeah.
how street trees can get integrated into that.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe, rather than just complying with your subdivision regulations, which call for a street tree every 40 feet, maybe we can do clusters and just make it feel more naturalized and rural, along
Exactly.
with those walls and that
Exactly.
sidewalk.
So when you come off of Grimes Lane, you're not coming into, a 60s development. You're coming into something that looks like it's been there a while
Sort of.
and fits with that same neighborhood.
Okay.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the audience?
Wait, I have one quick comment about the open space plan. The only other thing I don't like about it is they're preserving all the wetlands. That's the open space. I mean,
It's,
all
well,
our subdivisions, all our open space, we get something viable, not a piece of land right next to the railroad tracks. That's not a real viable. We get a little bit of farming in the front, but all the open space is all the wetlands. It's got to have value to the town of Littleton. Why do we want open space we're going to get anyway, because it's just wetlands that they have to preserve in the first place?
the space on the other side of the railroad, is quite a distance from the railroad tracks. In fact, there's a huge corridor between that and the railroad tracks.
It's right there.
The railroad tracks run at a bias, so it's quite a
Okay,
distance.
So they're
away.
100 feet away.
Oh, a lot more than that, Mark.
Well, I might-
Maybe what you could do in your next plan is show the railroad track.
Railroad's here.
Railroad's right there.
Yeah,
Right, so this open space is 600 or 700 feet away.
it is. And southwise, the railroad
Railroad's
marches
not
away.
doing that.
Yeah.
This is Route 2.
And that space is fairly flat.
So you got Route 2 right next to it then, instead of the railroad tracks.
Well, we discussed that when we were talking informally. Originally,
Yeah.
we had a large area of open space up in here.
Yeah.
And that was dry land, but topographically, it might not have lent itself to the potential for ball fields or active recreation. And we talked about this area
Yeah.
and having this be the offered open space.
I like the idea of having the open space separate and distinct from the development, because then it can be used by the town for whatever reason, a park or a
Motorcycle
garden, a
cross-country
community garden,
racing.
or, athletic, it can be
Mini
used for
bikes.
lots of things, and then it's separate and distinct. So we will have corridors connecting all these wet areas.
Just my opinion.
And any comment from the audience? Yes?
Hi, Quinn Canfield, 238 Foster. I'm the house that sits right next, just north of the road that you're proposing to connect to Foster Street.
Caulfield? Canfield, yes,
Canfield.
yes.
So I guess the first question is, and you already, Mark already made my point about, was going to make my point about the wetlands. That the
Yeah.
open space is shown there, having lived there for the last 17 years, is all swamp, except for the piece that's across Grimes near the highway. So that doesn't feel like any kind of bonus to the town whatsoever. It's dead wet, and except for in the middle of summertime, early fall. Then I have a question. What's the requirements for the setback from this road that would be connecting to Foster Street to the adjacent property lines? I don't know how much buffer is supposed to be there, how wide's the road supposed to be? It's a pretty narrow piece of land. I was surprised you could actually snake a road through there.
Yeah, we actually have new subdivision regulations that match Mass DOT regulations. So it'll be built to a Mass DOT size road.
Well, that's fine. I don't know what that is. My question is, how much buffer between that road and the existing property line that's not owned by the subdivision?
Oh, I see your
Doesn't have
question.
to be-
Along that little strip.
Yeah.
On each side of the road, how much buffer does it have?
Yeah, do you guys have the ability to answer that question?
I don't know if it's 40 or 50 feet wide as far as the ownership, but it's flanked on either side with grading easements, and then the roadway itself will be 24 feet wide. So there'll be strips on both sides.
How far off your lot line, his lot line, will the start of pavement be?
We'll have to, well,
Guesstimation?
8 to 9 feet.
To the edge of the road?
We have a 50-foot layout and a 24.
Yeah.
So we've got 13 feet, we got curb, we got sidewalk on one side.
So as opposed to moving it further down the street in his
That's
case?
a problem on the other side. There's a neighbor there as
There's a lot
well.
of these.
Yeah.
So if you
Right,
divide the
house-
two?
Your house is closer to that piece of land than the neighbor to the south.
Correct. We're right.
So
against
if we strategically put the sidewalk on the opposite side from yours, then it provides more green
A
space.
little more green space,
between
yeah.
The edge of the right-of-way and the edge of pavement.
So I guess my question, fine, but my question is, what legally are they required to be for setbacks?
Oh, the town standard?
There's no setback to edge of roadway.
No setback. But we can ask for mitigation, like plantings, trees, arborvitaes.
Tear down a lot of trees to build a road, there's already trees there.
Well, I don't know what kind of trees are there, but if you wanted some vegetation there, some green area, we can insist on that now.
All right, so the second question I have is the word sports fields keep on getting thrown around here, but as someone who has served on both the soccer and lacrosse boards and knows how difficult it is to find playing surfaces here for the town,
Yeah.
how, that piece that's shown on the south side of Grimes, how large, what's the size of that piece of land?
It's 5 acres.
That doesn't help me. What we need dimensions, do you know what the dimensions are?
It's probably 250 by 1,000.
Yeah, it's fairly big.
From where? You were hit backwards to me?
Sorry,
Well, a
Yeah,
minute ago, you told me that was 600 feet.
No, it's
600
No.
feet from here,
yeah.
from
It's,
the railroad up,
Said it was 5 acres?
5.5 is what's listed.
5.5.
But in order for that to be useful as a sports field, we have to have parking.
right.
And I gotta think that, when we have this problem in Kirtland right now, right? You have this beautiful soccer field, and until they put in the electrical, that
Oh, at the,
northeastern thing, we could always park over there. Now the parking's
Now
they would
there's,
call it best.
it's a problem, yeah.
Well, so my point being is, this doesn't, it sounds good on paper, but the reality is, by the time we put any useful parking here, it doesn't,
This is-
I'm surprised if there's gonna be actually room to put a sports field there.
I'd be surprised if that was even close to 5 acres. I'll bet that space is more like 3 acres. This 5 acres is plenty for a soccer field and parking. Yeah.
If that's what's there.
Yeah, and we can have, if you want, we can have our engineer, since he's going to be looking at this, provide an assessment of the viability of a field with parking in that space,
Can we now?
if the board so chooses, yes.
If we put the cost on the developer to take a look at it?
But we have our engineer is normally paid for by the developer, our engineering costs. And so what we'd do is, Maren would find out what those costs are, send them off to you, you get an agreement, and then he'd move forward with it. Yeah.
And then I guess two more other quick questions here. One is, I find it hard to believe that many of those lots that sit between the first wetlands on the left towards my home and the next piece of wetlands there would ever perk. I'd be shocked.
Well, we'll have our own engineer make that decision. There's 9 lots that are in question.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then last, traffic, right? I mean, we've got, the problem I see here isn't just this particular development, but as we all know here, the K-land is either going to go up for sale or could become part of the town someday, who knows? But that's gonna
Yeah.
add, that's, I don't know, 50-some odd acres? 40. All right, 40 acres with a whole another set of houses that are gonna wanna go in there. Where's all this going?
That does not show a connection to this lot. Oh, in terms
It's
of,
gonna come down Grimes Lane. I mean, it's,
at the point that goes in, we'll have to assess the traffic flow and the traffic volume, and they'll have to,
but this morning's frustration is here living in the town is it seems like we never tackle anything in advance. We are reactionary all the time.
Yes.
We know full well what
Yes.
could happen a year from now.
yes.
So why aren't we taking that into account now as we look at this so that we're not scrambling a year from now to figure out how we're going to put another, 100
It's-
cars a day through there?
See, we're in the process of updating our master plan, which will help us identify critical lots, critical parcels in town that we want to focus on preserving. And the second component of that is really out of our hands. It's more of a selectmen's issue, where we have to think about providing some sort of a fund that the town would pay for, townspeople would pay for, a pot of money, so to speak, to have in advance when these lots become available.
No, I'm not asking that question. I certainly would hate to see the K-land be developed.
Yeah.
But that's not really the issue that's before us right now. The issue before us now is this development.
Right.
And this development, if the K-land doesn't go to the town, is going to have houses behind it also.
That's correct.
Those houses have 2 ways of getting out there. Grimes Lane is one way, and there's another access point north of his house on Foster Street that I believe also belongs to Kay's. It would be the other way to get out of there. It's currently a right-of-way for AT&T, I think. There's a buried cable coming through,
Okay.
somewhere near there. So all these cars got to come through here now, so the Grimes, the K's, the people up the road here off of 119, the other big contentious development, have benefited throughout the years by getting reduced taxes because they were declared a farm. That's great, but now that they're all being converted into housing, there's got to be some way for the town to benefit the way they benefited for the last number of years, so that we don't get traffic congestion issues, we don't have all this cluster of mess up here.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's only limited pathways that we can follow to mitigate some of that, and one of them is what you see here tonight. It's by getting usable town land that we can develop through the open space plan. When and if the K property is developed, we'll absolutely, or more than likely, have to look at a traffic pattern, traffic volume. We'll have to get some sort of traffic study done,
This development, we've already come and gone, they're not going to pay for any of that, who's going to pay for that?
the next developer, because this development to me, seems small enough that it's not going to have a huge impact on traffic.
I've said.
You-
I would like to express the same concern. I'm Jennifer Canfield.
Yeah.
I live at 2238 Foster Street. I'm already concerned about the traffic on Foster Street because of the expansion of the train station. It is already incredibly difficult to be a pedestrian on that street, to really use the street other than driving. There are a large number of children that live on that street. So to add 36 houses is at least 36 more cars coming in and out every day up and down that street. That's really problematic for us. And so I think as a town, we really need to be talking and thinking about that now before we're talking about actually doing it.
Well, one pathway we could take would be to ask our engineer to take a look at the traffic that'll exit the site and see if it triggers the need for traffic study. So we could add that to
So how do
his,
we ask for that?
add that to his tasks. It's not a traffic study. It would be in his opinion if there's a need for a traffic study.
One thing you could do is you could ask when we have Green look at it, we could have him look at the adequacy of Grimes Lane further down to see
Good point.
if anything could be tied into it or whether or not it's such a rural, it's a farm road now and it's past their subdivision, so it probably wouldn't support, or, you don't know, you're gonna have to find out. And again, we don't know if the developer's the one buying the K property that could come right through the middle. We need to get Green to take a look at the infrastructure around it.
He'll need to, this road, as you say, is going to be upgraded to a town standard in width
From
and...
there,
From
Yeah.
here to here.
Right, so all Green could probably do is give us his opinion of what the capacity of that road would be.
Further down.
further down.
No, the total capacity of what this newly reconstructed road would be.
Well, since K's land abuts right beside this, we
And-
could probably ask about the capacity of the inside of it, too.
We can, but that ties to the analysis of this section of road being, and its capacity, because if he comes back and says, this road's capacity is only good for 28 houses, then that answers that question about further on down. Are we clear?
Go find
Does
out.
that work for you? Good. That's the best we can do at this point. If it triggers a traffic study, then a traffic study will be done. Well, any questions, any more questions from the audience? Oh, we have two. Three, all right, let's go to the gentleman in the
Neighbors to go first.
back here, please.
Has any of this land been perked?
Yes.
Could you say how
I've
much?
seen two
Yeah.
wells done, so how much of it
We
has?
haven't seen it.
I've seen two.
We've been out with a machine to do some soil testing, and we haven't tested all 36 lots. I can't say we've done that, but we've tested sufficiently to be comfortable to move to this point.
What I should have said was, has it been water level?
Yes, we looked at the seasonal high water table, the depth to ledge, and the permeability of the soils.
Now, again, that's something that our engineer will take a look at as he's going through,
There's a,
doing his review.
why I'm saying that is, right about there, there's a dry well, if you will, put in by Durkee's. And I've seen what that is in the spring. It is right at the top of the ground. And this year, there was so much rain, there's a culvert here, and it drains everything.
Yeah,
And it's not a total, this year was funny because it was so wet in the spring. It was where the culvert goes under Grimes Lane, it was undermining the side of the road. And I threw a bunch of rocks in there, so that hole is still there.
so there was
But
that much water.
There's that, it never happened before, but there was that much water this year that it undermined it. Just to say that.
Yeah. No, we'll have to make that a bullet point for when our engineer takes a look at
Yeah,
these
take a look.
drawings.
Yeah, where that first culvert goes, You can see that where it's
Okay.
undermined.
I mean, it's important to note,
Yeah,
we have to provide to the Board of Health sufficient and suitable testing on every lot and septic designs that meet the state sanitary code and the local Board of Health regulations.
right. And water management for the roadway system.
We don't get we could get 36 lots, but we can't build 36 houses until we get to that point.
Exactly. Any one more, yeah?
Question, Jerry Cavallo, 8 Uplands Road. I'm here as a member of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. I'd like to have the board consider a bicycle pedestrian path that would connect to the train station to try to alleviate some of that traffic. There's town property up above that, and if we could somehow get a right-of-way or even a paved right-of-way through their property, then we could later work with the town to connect to Harwood Avenue and maybe have people from Harwood Avenue get an access to the train station without driving, eliminating some traffic on Foster Street and also some of the parking issues.
A bicycle path, that's interesting. In terms of a bicycle path, what is your thoughts?
Well, it would be something paved, perhaps, or at least improved gravel. But the beauty of this spot is it gives us connection down to where the railroad tracks is. There's town property between this development and the K property and Harwood, so it gives us a potential path that we could use. But once this gets developed and there's no way to get through here, then we're potentially blocked unless we look at some future developments further east, which could be years away.
Yeah, so,
So even if we use the existing roads, you can see there's an open space that would give us access to the existing roads here would be nice, or maybe something that came down to the east, down to Grimes Lane. Don't know exact path, but just a consideration, because I know we have parking problems and traffic problems on Foster Street.
well, could you work with Maren on what your thoughts are? And we can relay them back to the developer? Because that's,
Certainly open to discussing anything.
that's absolutely one of the fundamentals in this town, pedestrian access and bicycle friendly.
That's why we're here at this juncture with the plans.
Wonderful.
There, so that we can evolve and understand all this, put it in, so when we get to the point where we're jumping off to definitive and going into the design and all of the costs that's incurred, we've got all that in.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. And so you'll contact Maren? Yeah, good. And, our old friend,
Hi.
Don
McIver, 43 Foster Street. Some of the people are aware of this, and I don't know if the board is not, but the difficulty of threading the road through where Grimes Lane intersects with Foster Street. Certainly when the railroad crossing barrier got put in, there are a lot of issues from the neighbors. Some people here tonight, I think Ed Mitch and other folks, were about the width of that road, because there's a wetland, there's a sunken gas line, Tenneco gas line. The T put in the crossbar, there's the transformer on the other side, and it isn't very wide, it's a dirt road. I doubt if you can bring it up to town standards. I mean, there's a real issue there, and I think contacting the T would also be helpful, because they wrestled with this and tried to resolve it, and it really wasn't a fantastic solution, what's in place there. In fact, it's a little odd having a gate down there anyway, but they insisted on doing it when they did the railroad station. Beyond that, I also agree, I've shared with the developers, I question the yield of 36 houses because of the wetness of the soils, but you're dealing with that. I also question the fragmentation of the open space, that it's isolated, and you really want some connectivity, corridors, people, wildlife,
Right.
etc. And you've hit upon that. And actually, sort of interesting, another thing I saw, Randall Rent, who saw at the Mass Audubon workshops, giving a free workshop in Westford called Rural by Design. He's known for trying to do developments like this and keeping the rural character.
Yeah.
So the preliminary design, alternative design, the open space residential design, obviously is better than the traditional, but it has issues. And I'm glad to hear some of those being raised. just in conclusions, one of the things I've mentioned, since the owner owns this and also the K property, which they're forced to buy, even though they didn't really want the L-shaped 43 acres that goes around it, maybe actually having some of that as donated open space might mediate some of the concerns. Certainly at the selectmen's meeting, which I think, I don't know if you were jointly there or not, but at the selectmen's meeting dealing with the K property and the right of first refusal, there were neighborhood people from the east, west, and north, all concerned about the density of the development. And what's being mentioned by one of the neighbors is that there's no other place to go if the K property gets developed, but it's going to have to use these same roads. And yeah, it was intriguing. Even there was a fiscal conservative there who said, well, you know, he's against raising money, but it's worth acquiring the land or protecting the K land to buffer some of this development. So that might be something to consider. Certainly the questionable road connection, whether it's K or someone else, has been added to this. Certainly some of the 43 acres of K property could be added to it to give corridors for bicycle paths, for wildlife, etc., and also make it more livable.
So Donna, you're saying to consider connectivity from this lot into the next lot for bicycle access?
Well, I mean, certainly on the east side, it could be used. In fact, I do have a map, I'll send this electronically, that was used for the K hearing about right of first refusal. Here you have the Grimes Lane, here's the K property. The town owns these lots here on Grimes Lane, the far side. Town forest is these 6 parcels here. The Hergay property, there's a conservation restriction, Sudbury Valley Trustees has that. So you touch 5 town parcels, 5 protected parcels. It would protect admission and people like this over here. It would cut down on the density, and it would also solve the problem about not having these people use these same roads. You know, for questioning if 36 cars or 36 dwelling units can use it, certainly you're going to have problems with 36 plus additional development from the K property. But I'll send this electronically.
Please.
You
but-
have that in the information that you got
Okay.
today.
Okay. So-
But I'm a little confused now.
Sure.
You do or do not want to see connectivity to the K property through this development for either auto or bicycle or walkway?
Certainly corridors for walkways, bicycles, be fine. I guess I'm concerned about not having auto roads.
So you don't want to see an auto road, you don't want to see potential for auto connectivity to that K property?
Well, I'm saying it would be an issue.
You do not want to
It
see
would
that?
cause congestion, yeah, right. But certainly corridors for wildlife, corridors for bicycles.
So a little right-of-way through 1 or 2 spots to the K property?
Right, that could be helpful. And there's an opportunity here.
Now,
There's
that
some flexibility.
Right-of-way would end up coming into the roadway system here and the sidewalk system.
Right, I realize that, and that'd be helpful. But, you know, 2 town properties here,
All
town
right.
forest up here, protected walkways.
All
and
right,
stuff here.
I think you guys have it then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've heard this a bit, you know, in the corridor, so.
Yeah.
But there's flexibility, you know.
Well, what would you like from us tonight now?
I guess, nothing, we're gonna get you some information for the 9 lots in question.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that you can, you're going to engage.
The green, yeah,
So there needs to be some paperwork to get that engagement on 53G.
through Maren, yeah.
So we'll get that rolling.
Great.
And then, obviously, would like to keep coming to keep you updated on the progress.
Yep. And that,
And then at the appointed time, get your kind of decision on the preliminary and kind of the high sign to move on to the next level whenever we're all comfortable with that. We're obviously gonna tackle the legal issues and make sure that councils got the information that they need so
Yep.
that we can get the board comfortable on that end as well.
that's great.
Thank you.
Well, are we all set?
Hopefully, they're going to be requesting an extension of the time frame to decide on the preliminary subdivision. We want to just take a quick vote to
Yes,
Extend.
do you want to request that
Certain date,
extension
certain-
now so that we can vote now? Because by the, that's, I think the time runs out. Might as well get it done now.
Certainly.
So,
Do that in writing.
We can follow up with the paperwork, but
Yeah.
what date do you want to, your next meeting is Thursday, November 12th. Do you want to go 2 weeks beyond that, or a week beyond that for the decision timeframe?
Sure.
all right,
That would be
great.
to November 19th.
Great, thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion
Motion
to
and
extend the preliminary to November 19th. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. You have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
getting back to the first item on the docket.
Yep. Back to business here.
Do you want color copy of this, or do you have?
No, that's all right.
Yeah, Maren.
Marion provided them.
Oh, good, okay.
Okay, have you done the minutes? Missed that part.
We did that.
Okay,
We did budget.
and we did the budget.
We need to circle back to the bills and payroll and the inspection reports for McIntosh Lane. The inspection reports I just put, I just gave you this evening. And did I hand you the bills?
We did. The bills came through and
Okay.
they're signed and sealed. And the budget,
Yep, we're good.
we did not vote on the budget. No, we did vote on the budget, I'm sorry.
I think we're done.
We did the minute, we did
It's-
McIntosh Lane Orchards review. I reviewed it during the meeting. You did too, right? Looked good, didn't it?
Look good.
Yeah.
All right, can I entertain a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Nice job,
What's
Lynn.
our next meeting, Myron?
November 12th.
Is anybody going to take advantage of the workshops, fall workshops?
So we're gonna send.
I'd love to, but I have an
you get
exam to pass
determinations of the stub.
I'll get a cost estimate to start, and we'll go from there. I'll list it.
Send green.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got all the list of things to green, right?
Yep.
You captured them. Good.
I can't go, I'm flying.